right? We even drill down and say, we want the free ones, right? But we already know from resources that we already know some of them, right? We already know Unsplash, we already know pixels, right? So we could easily come in and search for Unsplash, right? Because in most cases, when you're looking for a plugin, right, you already know the name of the plugin, right? So we come here, we search for Unsplash. That's weird from FIGMA. Okay, we search for Unsplash. It's supposed to bring up Unsplash. Okay, let's go. Okay. Is it the connection? I think it's the connection. Okay. Okay, so here we search for pixels, right? And we are seeing pixels, right? So add images into your design, right? Search for Unsplash. And let's see if we get Unsplash. Unsplash. I think there's a connection. But in most cases, you will get the direct link, right? So most times those direct links, let's just use pixels for now. So those direct links will just take you to this page. All right, let me just close that out. So most times those direct links will take you to somewhere like here. See this page you're looking at, right? So Figma will now have an option tell you to try it out. Try it out means add it to my plugins, right? So once you click that and you click try it out to save it as one of your plugins. So in your design file now, right? So let's say you're designing now, and maybe you want to put a picture here, right? You can now come back here and say, hey, Pixel, your recent things that you added will show up. But if you have more than that, right, you can now search because you know the name of that plugin, right? So Unsplash is one of them, right? I can search and it shows me Unsplash. And then I can now click to run. So clicking to run means I should just perform the default behavior. I should start it, right? So now that I've started Unsplash, I've selected my rectangle, right? Remember, those plugins need something to work, right? Some of them will tell you they need a frame. Some of them will tell you they need a shape, right? Or an object, right? So you will get that error. So for example, I didn't click anything here, right? I didn't click anything. I just came in, I looked for an animal picture, right? And I click. There's a high possibility that Unsplash will not work, right? But let's see. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, right? It just drops the picture, right? Some plugins need a frame, some plugins need a shape to work. Those ones will tell you, please select a shape, please select a frame, right? But here, Unsplash just drops the picture like that, right? And you can see this is not what I wanted it to do, right? So I would first select where I want the picture to go.
That was not what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I want it to be inside this box, right? I just picked and it drops it, right?
I thought that was very so that was
No,
like
no. Yeah, it will drop it anywhere. Once you don't specify it, that's the way the computer is, right? If you don't give it specific instructions, it won't do what you say it should do, right? So in a way, you have to be intentional about what you're doing, right? So I now select this and I select the image. And you can see what Unsplash does. It tries to put it inside that image for me. And it crops it for me, right? If I'm not comfortable with it, right, I could now say, let me double click, let me crop, and then I can now start saying, oh, I want to go up or down, right? And the same rule applies. We hold down Shift and up, it goes up 10 spaces, right? Like we talked about the last fiscal class. So it's now I have that. So different plugins have different ways they work, right? So like feather icon now, it's an icon. I don't need to select where to put it. I just need to select the icon, right? So you can see that in action here again, right? So if I come in and I say icon, right? I think there's icon D, right? And I click the plugin, I click run, right? The plugin, this is a different icon plugin now, right? So let's wait, internet, yeah, right? So there are many ones like this. This is not just the one. So they have different interfaces and the same way. I have those plugins, right?
Oh, okay.
So I have a lot of plugins. And if you want to see all your plugins, you come in here, plugins, right? And then you could see saved plugins. So you could see all the ones I've actually installed, right? Some I don't even use again. Some I use once in a while, right? But you will see a plugin. And the beautiful thing about Figma is that plugins are cheap. Why? Because plugins run online, right? You are not downloading it. You are not checking dependency. All these things is handled for you, right? All you just need to do is save it and run it whenever you need it, right? So you can have as many as you want, right? So these are a lot, right? This is like an emoji generator, right? This is feather icons. This is the table generator. This is blush. What is blush again? Okay, blush is for, I don't see some of them I don't even use again, right? But you have the ones that are your favorites that you end up using constantly, right? So avatars is a nice one for just generating user images. So there are many videos, there are many blogs that just suggest plugins to you. So you just have to play around with many plugins and find the one you enjoy using. Right. Okay. So next question, please.
Okay, so where do I start from? Okay, so first off, I want to ask if you are doing a design now and then you mistakenly delete it, is there a way you can undo what you have deleted?
Yeah, Control Z.
Okay.
Respect. Top designer. So again, you can come here, file. Can you see this? Yeah, edit, undo. So a Figma icon.
Here's Silence featuring Khalid by Marshmello.
I didn't tell you to play any music for me. God, I'm tired of Siri. Jesus Christ. Sorry about this guy. Okay. So it's sorry. So here, edit, undo. Right. So if I undo what I just did, right, you would see immediately the redo is available to me. So maybe I undid something, I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to do it, right? I can redo it.
Okay.
So let me just even paint a better picture. So maybe I came here, right? And then I now crop this image, right? Maybe because I want a smaller one. And I'm like, no. And I undo it, right? I could easily redo it. I'm like, oh, I want it back, right? As long as it's in that same sequence. Right? And to redo is Control Shift Z. Right? Right. Okay. So, any other question? All right.
Yeah, but I think I want to share my screen for this next one.
Damn, if you have questions, please drop as well. Yeah.
Like an old question.
Okay.
So, when we're using usage chat,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that, how do I bypass that three times trial, right?
You pay.
You pay.
Or you design it yourself in Figma.
Yeah.
But now you should be able to design it yourself in Figma. Exactly. So the beautiful thing about Figma is you could just create it once, right? Get it done well once, and you can just be reusing it. All you're just doing is changing up things, right? So if this was the lucid, right, you will just come in here and then you will start, right? You will draw out a circle for a picture, right? You would have text for the name, you have text for the scenario and all of those different things, right? So
The next question.
because in most cases, it's not your duty to pay for Lucid. It's your company's duty to pay for Lucid.
So,
Yeah. So you will discover that over time it's the company that pays for these things, right? Like many designers don't use Figma Pro, right? It's the company that pays for Figma Pro, and then they use those features of Figma. Right? But if you have money, I know you're a rich dude. The community is very rich. People can pay for it. The small company. But most times, the free plan gets you everything you need. Then you could say if you are done with a user journey, you are done with it, you could always go and delete it, and then you have space for a new one. So that's another way around. Because I remember when I used to use Coggle a lot, I would finish the flow, I would save it, then I would delete it and create a new one, right? So it's
So the other question I want to ask is, you have spoken about how you should not reinvent the wheel, right? So when I was creating my wireframe, I decided to, instead of use sign up, I wanted to use New Year. But then I felt that, okay, if you invent the wheel, if somebody understands, I decided to do like that.
yeah.
So my question, like, so does that mean that there are certain features that you cannot change? Like
Okay.
when it comes to
Not necessarily. You see, that's where research comes in.
okay.
Right? If you know your audience very well, you can afford to do something out of the ordinary. Right? So take for example now, if your audience are kids, for example, right? You won't be using strict language. Yeah, you'll be using language that children will love, children will understand, and it'll be easy for them to comprehend, right? But when your product is supposed to serve a wide audience, right, a wide range of people, that is when you're required to set. Gordon calls it something. He calls it, you have to dumb it down, right? You have to make it work for virtually everyone. And everyone understands login, sign up, sign in, right? Register, right? They understand those basic things, right? So when your product is tailored that way, you have to go that way. But if your product is a very, very niche product, you can afford to change things out. You can afford to switch things out, right? So there's no hard or fast rule, right? But when many people are going to use it from a diverse set, of backgrounds or ethnicities, right? You need to make it something that everybody understands, right? Because remember, you don't want to have cognitive load. But when you know specifically that maybe there's only 50 people that are going to use this and they understand your lingo, then you can go for it. So there are apps on the App Store that don't use sign up or whatever, right? They exist, but it's for specific types of people, right?
So your audience determines
How you speak to them.
okay.
So maybe.
Okay, does the FAQ has to